Hey Austin, Nick Riley here with Driftwood Builders Roofing. Now, over the last couple of years in the roofing industry, we've seen more and more customers ask us questions about metal roofs. So today, I created this educational resource guide to do a deep dive on metal roofs, and we're going to go over the top 35 questions customers have asked us about metal roofs over the last 21 years. So let's get started. All right. So the number one question customers ask us is, how much does a metal roof cost compared to asphalt shingles? And I created a whole video about this so you can check out. But a very simple rule of thumb we have is that metal roofs typically cost about twice as much. They also last about twice as long and take twice as long to install. This top picture is a picture of a metal roof, obviously. And then this picture down here is Guillermo, a metal crew leader, who's awesome. So the reason why metal roofs take longer and cost more is, number one, the materials cost more. And then number two, the labor is more specialized. The price gap gets wider when the roof has many valleys, walls, chimneys, skylights, and steep slopes. The second question we get asked the most with metal roofs is paying twice as much for a metal roof worth it? And typically it depends on your situation. If you plan to be in the house for a long period of time, and you're looking for a modern look, then a metal roof could be for you. However, if you don't plan to be in the house for that much longer and you plan to sell your house in the foreseeable future, then I would not recommend a metal roof, and I would stick with the asphalt shingle look. The third question we get asked pertaining to metal roofs is, how long does a metal roof last? And typically in Texas, it's about 40 to 70 years. The lifespan obviously depends on things like the panel type, finish, underlayment, flashing details, ventilation, and maintenance. And standing seam systems are often chosen for longer life because the fasteners are concealed and the systems give it a cleaner look. Exposed roofs can also last well, but since the screws are exposed, they usually require more maintenance and inspections over time. The fourth most common question we get asked as pertains to metal roofs is, will a metal roof increase my home's resale value? And it definitely can, depending on the situation. If you're looking for higher end homes, a more modern look, then a metal roof can help the resale value. However, I would say the metal roof typically doesn't increase the resale value any more than it costs. So let's say you spend $50,000 for a new metal roof. It will probably increase your home's value by $50,000, no more, no less. The fifth most common question we get asked pertaining to metal roofs is, are metal roofs noisy when it rains or hails? And very simply, no. Most homeowners are surprised that a properly installed metal roof is not dramatically louder on the inside. And the reason is because the decking, underlayment, attic insulation, and attic space between the top of the metal and your house. Now, obviously, if you live in a barn and the metal roof is all you have, then it will be a little bit noisier. But for 99% of homes, no, metal roofs are not noisier. The sixth most common question we get asked about metal roofs is, can hail bend or damage a metal roof? And the answer is yes, absolutely it can. So on the right side here, we have a picture of a metal roof in Wimberley. As a customer whose roof we just replaced. And the situation was 2.5 years ago, there was a big hailstorm and hail hit his roof, which caused these dents. And so he filed an insurance claim. The insurance company denied his claim. And so he sued the insurance company, went to court for 2.5 years, and then fortunately got a settlement and used that settlement to buy a new metal roof. But yes, hail can absolutely damage a metal roof. Obviously, metal roofs are a little bit tougher than asphalt shingle roofs since they cost twice as much, but they're definitely not hail resistant. The seventh most common questions we get asked is, does homeowners insurance cover hail damage to a metal roof? And the answer is sometimes, but it depends. So the example I just shared, that customer's insurance did unfortunately not cover the hail damage to the metal roof. So he sued them and got a claim, fortunately. But insurance is typically a little bit tougher on metal roofs than they are on asphalt shingle roofs. The number one thing I want you to take away from this slide is it helps to document. We're a huge supporter of documentation. So anytime you think there's a hailstorm in your area, I highly suggest you call a roofer for an inspection and have them document the entire roof. That way, if any hail did hit your roof, it's documented, which helps with the insurance process. The eighth most common question we get about metal roofs is, will a metal roof attract lightning? And the answer is simply no, it doesn't. That's a myth. So you don't have to worry about lightning if you get a metal roof. The ninth most common question we get pertaining to metal roofs is, does a metal roof make the house hotter? And the answer is usually no. Roof temperature and indoor comfort depend on color, coatings, insulation, and ventilation. Now, many metal products reflect sunlight well and can reduce heat absorption compared with darker, less reflective roofs. A poorly ventilized attic can be as hot regardless of the roof type. Home comfort is driven by roof assembly, attic design, and HVAC performance, not just the surface of the roof material. So to recap, I'd say the number one most important thing pertaining to the temperature of your home is the ventilation. You want your roof and your house to be able to breathe adequately so it won't get too hot. So ventilation is 10 times more important than the material on the roof. The 10th most common question we get is, can a metal roof lower my energy bills? And the answer is it can, but highly unlikely. So a metal roof can help, especially when the roof uses reflective coatings and the home is in a hot, sunny climate like Austin, Texas. However, by far the two biggest things we see that lower energy bills are, number one, solar panels, and number two, proper attic insulation and ventilation. Those two are significantly more important with reducing energy costs than the metal itself. Another question we frequently get asked is, will a metal roof rust or fade over time? And the answer is yes, it will, but it usually takes a long period of time. So modern residential systems use coating and finishes designed to resist corrosion and color breakdown. There is a risk of rust, so it depends on the substrate finish quality, scratches, cut edges, standing water, and environmental exposure. Fade depends largely on the paint system and color, so we highly recommend you review the warranty and finish carefully. And then most importantly, good insulation is very, very, very important. So every roofer uses pretty much the same, materials and the same metal on metal roofs. But the number one thing you want to look for is the quality of the insulation. Now, a question we frequently get asked is, what's the difference between standing seam and exposed fastener for metal roofing? Now, standing seam hides most fasteners under raised seams or clips, which creates a cleaner look and a more premium system. So the photo on the top here is an example of a standing seam metal roof, because you can't see any fasteners or any screws coming out. Now, as pertains to exposed fasteners for metal roof, exposed fasteners use screws through the face of the panel, which usually makes them less expensive. So the bottom roof here is an exposed fastener roof, and you can see all the screws are exposed at the top of the roof. So standing seam is common on higher-end residential projects where aesthetics and long-term performance matter. Exposed fastener panels can still work well, but the screws and washers usually require more monitoring and maintenance over time. Now, a lot of customers ask us about metal gauges. What gauge of metal should I choose? 24, 26, or 29 gauge? A lot of customers also ask, what does metal gauge mean? Well, very simply, gauge refers to the thickness, and a lower gauge means a thicker metal. So a 24 gauge is obviously thicker than 26 gauge. 26 is thicker than 29. Now, thicker level can improve stiffness, dent resistance, and overall feel, but obviously also cost more. The right gauge depends on the roof style and the manufacturer's system, the budget, and your performance goal. Now, a lot of customers ask us, what's the difference between galvanized steel and Galvalume? Well, galvanized steel is coated primarily with zinc to help protect the steel from corrosion. Galvalume steel, on the other hand, is coated with approximately 55% aluminum, 43.4% zinc, and 1.6% silicon. It's widely used in residential metal roofing. So galvanized steel is often better in areas where the metal will be cut, scratched, bent, or exposed to concrete, mortar, treated lumber, or highly alkaline environments, because the zinc coating protects exposed edges more effectively. Now, the analogy we give is galvanized steel zinc coating is a lot like sunscreen. It protects the steel, but gradually wears down over time. Galvalume, on the other hand, is more like a rain jacket. The aluminum and zinc coating creates a stronger, longer-lasting barrier against moisture and corrosion. So the easy way to remember the difference between galvanized steel and Galvalume is the difference between sunscreen and a raincoat. A raincoat is more expensive, but the protection lasts longer. Unrelated, if you want a free raincoat, please let me know. Now, a lot of customers ask us which metal roof style is best for my home. And it obviously depends on your situation, but if you're not afraid to spend more money and you want to be in the house for a long period of time, we recommend standing seam, which is about 90% of the metal roofs we install. Standing seam works especially well on modern, transitional farmhouse and many upscale houses. Now, exposed fastener can definitely work great in a lot of situations. However, we typically recommend standing seam. Now, pertaining to the color of metal roofs, a lot of customers ask us what colors are available and which colors fade the least. Now, the very simple rule of thumb to remember is that lighter and more neutral colors show the least amount of fading, whereas darker and more vibrant colors tend to fade quicker. However, metal roofs typically take a long time before they start fading. Now, a question we often get asked is, can metal roofing be installed over existing asphalt shingles? And technically it can, but we highly, highly recommend against it. So technically you can wear a winter coat in the Austin summers when it's 100 degrees outside, but it is not a smart idea. So installing a metal roof over shingles, people used to do it back in the day because it would save money, but it is a terrible idea because you need to remove the old roof to see the decking problems and the underlayment underneath. So a full roof tear-off gives your contractor a chance to inspect the wood decking, correct details, and start fresh. We highly recommend checking local code, manufacturer instructions, and the condition of the existing roof. Now, another common question we get asked is, should the old roof be removed before installing a new metal roof? And the answer, once again, is absolutely yes. So leaving the old roof on, can save money in the short term, but it can be significantly more expensive in the long term. So you absolutely should remove your old roof before installing a brand new metal roof. So how long does a metal roof installation take? Well, just to recap, some quick rules of thumbs with metal roofs are the 3 2s. So usually metal roofs are twice as expensive as asphalt shingle roofs. They last about twice as long, and their installation also takes twice as long as well. So simple homes may take just a few days, where larger, more complex roof can take a lot longer. This on the right side is a picture of our crew installing a metal roof in Wimberley, Texas. Now, the biggest reason metal roofs take longer is because they require more skill, and you have to bend the metal in the valleys to make sure it fits perfectly. So you should always make sure your contractor takes their time and properly bends the metal so it fits well in the valleys and there's no leaks down the road. Now, a lot of our customers ask us, can I stay in the house during a metal roof installation? And the answer is, of course you can. Since metal roof installations take longer, we recommend customers stay in the house. And the good thing about metal roof installations is that they aren't as loud as asphalt shingle roof installations, and they usually aren't as messy as well. Sometimes customers ask us, can I walk on a metal roof without damaging it? And the answer is, yes, of course you can. You can walk on metal roofs, but we highly recommend take your time, walk on the roof slowly, and make sure you do so with the right technique. If you have a question about your roof, I would highly suggest you call a roofing contractor for free inspection. The photo on the right is a metal roof we did in Lakeway. And as you can see, it's incredibly steep, which is why our guys put the harness on the ridge of the roof, and then they repaired these pipe jacks from the top. Now, sometimes customers wonder, does a metal roof require maintenance? And yes, they do. However, typically the maintenance is not as bad as most customers think. So we talked about before, the average lifespan of a metal roof is between 40 and 70 years. However, the exposures on top of the roof typically have a shorter lifespan. So this situation, a customer of ours had a metal roof, and they called us after a rainstorm when their ceiling was leaking. So Guillermo and I climbed on top of the roof. The metal roof was perfectly fine. However, we noticed that the sealant around the pipe jack and the pipe jack itself was pretty worn down. So in that situation, we repaired the sealant, repaired the pipe jack, and we only charged a customer $800 instead of $40,000 for a brand new metal roof. Now, another question we frequently get asked about metal roofs is, are exposed screws likely to loosen or leak? And the answer is yes. Unfortunately, over time, they do. So this situation on the right, the customer had a metal roof and lived in South Austin, and they called us because their ceiling was leaking. So Guillermo and I went inside, saw the ceiling was leaking, took some photos from the inside, and then we went onto the metal roof and we climbed on top and we saw that about 50 of their screws were coming undone, and as you can see, incredibly rusted. So in this situation, what we did is we repaired the sealant around all the pipe vents and we completely replaced all the screws in their metal roof. So we've talked a lot about leaks on metal roofs. So you're probably wondering, where do metal roofs commonly develop leaks? And so typically leaks occur at details rather than the middle of the panel. So common spots include chimneys, skylights, sidewalls, valleys, pipe penetrations, ridges, and roof transition. So a lot of times loose fasteners, failed sealant, poor flashing design, and movement at transitions can all create water entry points. So because of the common leak points for metal roofs, the install you choose is very, very important. So another question we get asked is, how are chimneys, valleys, skylights, and roof penetrations flashed? So these areas are much more prone to leak. And because of that, they're usually handled with custom bent flashings, closures, sealants, and transition pieces matched to the system. Now, we talked about before how metal roofs typically take twice as long to replace an asphalt shingle roof. And the reason is because a good contractor will take their time to make sure they bend the metal at those transitions to prevent leaks in the future. Now, good flashing work allows water to shed cleanly while still accommodating movement and expansion. Every penetration on a metal roof should have a clear water management plan instead of heavy reliance on caulk alone. And you should definitely ask the contractor how these details will be built, because flashing quality is a major separator between average and excellent installs. Now, sometimes customers ask us, can solar panels be installed on a metal roof? And the answer is yes. In most cases, metal roofing actually works very well with solar panels. In situations where customers want solar panels with a metal roof, we recommend a standing seam, and the higher the gauge, the better. So you probably woke up today wondering, can gutters be installed or reused with a metal roof? And the answer is usually yes, although some projects benefit from replacing or adjusting the gutters during the roof work. During our roof installation, we almost always remove the gutters and then put them back on. So the thing about metal roofs you have to remember is that they shed water much more quickly than regular roofs. One thing about metal roofs is that they shed water faster than asphalt shingle roofs. And because of that, gutter sizing and downspout capacity are very important and should definitely be talked about with your roofing contractor and gutter person. Additionally, the roof edge, drip detail, and fascia condition all affect whether existing gutters make sense or not. Your contractor should explain clearly whether or not the current gutter system is adequate for the new roof and whether or not you even need gutters with your metal roof. So sometimes customers ask us, will rainwater rush off the metal roof faster than shingles? And yes, it will. So metal roofs shed water more efficiently since they're smoother. Now, that doesn't automatically mean there's a problem, but it does mean the gutter and drainage need to be adequate. Valleys, downspouts, splash control, and erosion protection matter more since the water moves off the roof faster. Now, another question we frequently get with metal roofs is, what wind rating does a metal roof have? And it really depends on the specific manufacturer of the metal. So wind performance depends on the exact product, the fastening method, the deck attachment, and how the system is installed. So some metal systems carry strong tested wind ratings, but those ratings only apply when the assembly follows the manufacturer's specifications. So that's why you want to make sure you have a really good metal roofing contractor. The panel profile, clip spacing, trim details, and perimeter design all affect wind resistance. If you do choose a metal roof, we always ask for documentation. So we highly recommend you ask your contractor for the actual product data, rather taking their word that the metal is good in wind. So sometimes customers ask us, is metal roofing better for wildfire protection? Now, metal is a non-combustible, which is an advantage, especially when you live in an area that has a lot of wildfires. However, wildfire performance depends mainly on the roof assembly and other exterior vulnerabilities, not just the panel material. Embers can still enter through vents, eaves, or other gaps if the home is not detailed properly. So as it pertains to embers, recently Family Handyman wrote this great article called The 12 Strategies to Fireproof Your House. And Driftwood Builders was very fortunate enough to be able to contribute to that article. So one of the ways you can add additional protection for your house if you're worried about fires is you can add screens to block out potential embers. And the goal here is not to block ventilation, but to make sure the attic can breathe properly without giving embers an easy way in. Yeah. So if you woke up today wondering what warranties come with a metal roof, today's your lucky day. So as it pertains to metal roofs and warranties, there are 3 big things to keep in mind. The first is that every manufacturer and their corresponding product is different. So you want to make sure to get a detailed copy of the warranty so you can see exactly what's in it and exactly what it includes. The second thing to keep in mind is that in order for the warranty to be in effect, the contractor has to install it based off the detailed guidelines set by the manufacturer. So it's very, very important to choose a contractor who's worked with that manufacturer before and has a ton of experience installing that specific metal. Then the third thing to keep in mind is you want to ask the contractor for their workmanship warranty. Now, this is different from the manufacturer's product warranty. A workmanship warranty covers a contractor's installation quality for the period over the contract. You want to ask your contractor for at least a 5-year workmanship warranty. Now, as it pertains to metal roofs, sometimes customers ask us, does the warranty cover the paint, finish, leaks, labor, and hail? And it really, really just depends on the specific manufacturer's warranty, which is why we highly suggest getting a detailed copy of the warranty before you replace your metal roof. Sometimes certain things are covered, but usually not all under single warranty. Paint finish coverage may address fade, chalking, or film integrity with defined limits. Leak coverage may depend on whether there is a contractor's workmanship warranty or a separate weather tightness warranty. Hail is often treated separately, and cosmetic damage may be excluded even when other issues are covered. Now, the 33rd most common question we get asked as it pertains to metal roofs is, how do I know whether the installer is experienced with metal roofing? So the first thing you want to do is to ask to see completed projects, close-up details, and examples of roofs similar to yours. You want to ask your contractor who fabricates the panels, who handles the flashing, and who supervises the job on site. A strong installer should be able to explain how valleys, walls, chimneys, skylights, and penetrations will all be handled. You want to make sure to get a detailed copy of a written proposal that shows product specs, scope, details, warranties, and what's excluded. Now, since metal roofs are very expensive, and since there's a lot of roofing contractors out there, you should choose a contractor who has at least 10 years of experience with metal roofing. Now, a question we frequently get asked with metal roofs and all types of roofs is, can a damaged section of the roof be repaired, or does the entire roof need to be replaced? So with metal roofs, like all roofs, if the issue is minor and the damage is in an isolated area, then the roof can almost always be repaired and doesn't need to be replaced. So a great example of an issue with a metal roof that just requires repair and not replacement would be the photos of the pipe jacks I shared earlier. In that situation, the sealant around the pipe jacks was completely shot and worn out. And so we just climbed on top of the roof, resealed the pipe jacks, and the metal roof is all good to go. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that metal roofs last between 40 to 70 years. However, a lot of times the pipe jacks around those don't last as long, which results in sealants leaking. Now, in other situations where there's widespread damage, chronic leaks, or system insulation problems may justify a replacement instead of just some patchwork. So a question we often get asked is, can a damaged section be repaired, or does the entire roof need to be replaced? And so I have 2 great examples, one of a repair and one of a full roof replacement. So in situations where the damage is minor or it's isolated, like the photo above, the roof only needs to be repaired. So Guillermo and I inspected the roof, and we noticed that the sealant around the pipe jack was completely worn down and shot, which was the root cause of the leak in the ceiling. So in that situation, we just resealed all the pipes, charged the customer $800 for a small repair, and the customer is ecstatic that they didn't have to pay $30,000 for a new roof. However, if the damage is widespread and the entire roof is affected, like the example down here, then in those situations, you would need your metal roof to be fully replaced. So this situation, a customer had a metal roof in Wimberley, Texas that was hit by hail damage, and the entire roof was old and had hail dents in it. So in that situation, the roof would need to be replaced. So to recap, repairs make most sense when the issue is isolated and the damage is small. However, if the issue is widespread and the damage is larger, a full roof replacement makes more sense then. Now, the 35th most common question we get as it pertains to metal roofs is, will my HOA allow a metal roof? And the answer is usually, but definitely ask them. So, for example, if everyone in your community had a black metal roof and you replace it with a bright pink metal roof, the HOA might not be so happy about that. So thank you so much for your time. I know this is a long presentation, but I really appreciate you staying with me and going